There are two ways to meet a whale in Côte-Nord. You can chase them down in a high-speed red boat, or you can sit on a rock and wait for them to come to you. Today, we're doing both. We're heading to Tadoussac and Le Bergeron to see why this is the best place in the world for whale watching. In this episode, we're going inside the bones at the CIMM with Christine Stadelmann, hitting the water with Croisières Essipit, and finding the zombie silence at Cap-de-Bon-Désir with Eloïse Lavoie. Hold on to your hats, my friends. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
You're listening to the Rudderless Travel podcast, a podcast about purposeful travel, sharing inspirational stories, and unlocking a destination's secrets.
Hey, my name is Christopher Rudder, an award-winning travel content creator and expert with Rudderless Media. All right, so if you caught the last episode, we were deep in the Lac Saint-Jean region, eating the best blueberries, ice cream, blueberry-flavored white chocolate-covered ice cream, and cheese. When we arrived in Saguenay, we were fortunate enough to take a boat cruise with Navet's Maritime de Fjord. It's all about those massive cliffs and the quiet of the river. But as you move toward Tadoussac, everything opens up. You're not just on a river anymore. You're at the gateway to the Atlantic, the Saint Laurent River. There is a definite change in the air. It's cooler, it's sharper. You can literally taste the sea salt on your lips. You've got the seagulls screaming, mine, 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 overhead. And yes, I've watched Finding Nemo probably more than I should. And those huge, jagged rocks are everywhere. If I didn't know I was in Quebec, I'd swear I was standing in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, or out on the coast of Maine. Plus, you find that same ridiculously crazy, friendly, and warm East Coast maritime energy, just in French. It's a total 180 from where we've been. Quebec is massive, and the geography changes so fast. 1 week I'm deep in the forest of Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Then I'm at the inland sea of Lac Saint-Jean. And now I'm by the sea. A quick fact I learned while I was here, so you don't get confused with how Quebecois refer to Quebec City. They just call it Quebec. My friend Susie Loisel from Quebec Maritime, who we're actually partnered with for this leg of the trip, she's the one who cleared this up for me. She was reviewing our Quebec Maritime itinerary and mentioned that towards the end of our trip, we would return back to the airport in Quebec. And I was like, what? So, if you're in the province and someone says they're going to Quebec, they mean the city. They don't really refer to the province as Quebec when they're home. But when they are not in the province, then maybe you'll hear La Belle Province, or they'll refer to the province as Quebec. Anyways, Tadoussac itself is actually the oldest village in Canada. It was a trading post as far back as 1600. It's got a ton of history, like Maison Chavoine, which was the first trading post in the country. It's also been a meeting place, but the real reason everyone is here is the water. This is where the fresh water from the Saguenay hits the salt water of the St. Lawrence. That mix creates this massive underwater buffet of krill and fish, which is exactly why the Saguenay St. Lawrence Marine Park exists. It's 1,200 square kilometers of protected water, and it's basically the best place on Earth to see whales because they all come here to eat. But before I jumped on a boat to find them, I wanted to understand the science of what's happening under the surface. So I stopped by the CIMM, the Marine Mammals Interpretation Centre, to talk to Christine Stadelmann. She's a researcher who spends her days surrounded by whale skeletons, and she showed me something about whale anatomy that kind of blew my mind. Walking into the CIMM feels like stepping back into my childhood those school trips at the Ontario Science Centre, but specifically for whales. It's a dark, dramatic space. A cool highlight is that periodically the lights will dim and the entire room fills with the haunting recorded sounds of various whales. As the room goes dark and those sounds surround you, you realize you're standing right under these massive, bleached white rib cages and spines of whales suspended from the ceiling. Christine Stadelmann pointed to a display of a whale's flipper, but with the skin and blubber stripped away, you aren't looking at a paddle. You're looking at 5 long, bony fingers. It looks like a skeletal human hand, just massive, hidden inside a flipper. So then what would have been like when they discovered these bones? Were they wondering, like, what's happening right now? Like, why is there a hand here? Like, did it shock them? Did it make them figure, like, how do we put this together? Is this part of this, or should be? Or
I don't know, because we haven't been like the first people who put back together skeletons.
No, yeah, of course.
But in the beginning, probably they were really confused about
why is there a
how
hand?
come they have
Christine told me that millions of years ago, whales actually lived on land, not on water. She pointed to a few of the whale skeletons hanging from the ceiling, where you can see 2 tiny floating bones that aren't actually attached to the rest of the spine. They're called the vastral pelvis bones, leftover bones for when these giants walked on the earth. Now that's pretty cool, actually. One of the skeletons hanging from the ceiling is named Piper. She was a whale that researchers in the New England Aquarium in Boston knew very well. She was first spotted back in 1993 when she was just about 2 years old.
And this one is actually a whale who was known very well. So the New England Aquarium, they knew this whale, which was called Piper. So the first time she was seen was in 1993, and I think she was probably around 2. We don't really know, but she wasn't a culp anymore. And then they followed her through the years, and we know that she has been in how do you say that in English? In with cords around her.
Oh, like tangled in nets.
She has been entangled in nets twice in her life, and one time like for at least 2 years, maybe even up to 4. So from 2002, she was entangled, but she was still able to swim around.
Think about that. For 4 years, from 2002, she was swimming through the ocean with heavy fishing gear and cords tangled around her. She was still able to move, still able to live her life, but she was carrying that weight every single day. That's awful. Christine then led us to a display of a beluga that was basically a time capsule. On the floor, in the ground, under thick glass, is Felix, and he was encased in this thick, gray, dried clay, looking like he was frozen mid-swim 10,000 years ago.
Called Felix. So,
They all have names?
yes, they all have names. Normally, it's the place where we found them. So this one was found in Felix de Valois.
Ah, okay. Because my next question was going to be who gets to name them, but you already answered that question, so it's okay.
Then actually now the place where he has been found, there's no water anymore. Before it was the La Mer de Champlain.
Right.
I don't know the name in English of the La Mer de Champlain, but so he was found there. So a woman called Monique found him like in her garden, and not in her garden, but in her like
Backyard?
yes, when she tried to like she did some work in her backyard, and so they found this, and they thought it was maybe a cow or something, and then they realized actually that it was a marine mammal.
So is it like a regular person who found it?
Yes.
So all they wanted to do was plant some roses.
No, I think they just wanted just to like get a bigger like
Space for her.
space.
Yeah.
So he was like perfectly conserved, because it was like some two in between. I don't find my English words today. Argile.
Is that like clay?
Yes.
2 layers of
Yeah,
clay?
2 layers of clay, and now it's like a supercell. So it's perfectly preserved.
Wow.
And it's a beluga whale, and it's 10,700 years old.
Can you imagine? You're out doing gardening in Saint Felix du Valois, and you come across what you think is an old cow bone, and it turns out to be a prehistoric whale. I guess it shows how much the geography really shifted around here. Where there is a garden now was once the Champlain Sea. The reason he looks so different from the other skeletons is that clay. Christine described it as being a super fossil because the clay perfectly preserved him between 2 layers, keeping every bone in place for over 10,000 years. Now, hanging out next to Piper is the giant Voilou, a massive sperm whale 13.5 meters long. But as I look closer at his display, Christine opened what looked like a cooler, also on display, and inside was a collection of rubbish, garbage, trash that the team found inside him during his necropsy.
So this one is a sperm whale.
Oh, okay.
This one is also has a name, so it's called Valo,
Uh-huh.
and it was found in Saint-Valo, Saint-Valo.
Wow.
And so they look scary, but they're not scary at all, actually. So they have teeth, but just so they can grab their food. So you can see it up there. Like they also eat like thick
Octopus
squid and octopus.
okay.
But they could not swallow a human, for example.
That's good.
So, and they're not interested in it as well.
That's also good.
And but what we did find in his stomach was actually some rubbish. So a lot of stuff we found in his stomach.
Ew.
But he could.
What is that? A wire?
Yes, by plastic, it's like plastic. And then you have a bag and also like cords, and so we don't know if that made that he was not able to feed properly. Maybe, but we don't know. And also he had like spots on him, and he actually had a pox virus.
Oh my gosh. So the moral of the story here is to not pollute the ocean, keep it clean?
Yes, and also to one of the people who worked on the carcass got sick. So, but now it's all good. But he got the pox virus, so that also makes us remind that they have a very similar immune system to ours. Yeah. So you should not touch them, and because they can make us sick, but also we can make them sick when they're still alive, right? We can give them viruses.
Wow, interesting. I don't know about you, but this is the kind of stuff that pisses me off. What they found in the stomach was like 15 kilograms of garbage, nets, all types of plastics, pieces of boat. 15 kilograms of garbage. As you can imagine, she wasn't the only one. There was also Aristot, another sperm whale that the researchers knew really well. Was also a local legend until 2009 when he died after getting entangled in a crab fishing net. When they checked his stomach, they found even more garbage, bioplastics, bags, and cords. It changes how we all look at the water. We all need to do better here. But there is a lighter side to all the research here. We moved over to the beluga section, where we learned that whales have village elders.
Kind of, and I feel when they're making those sounds, they're talking. They're very, very similar, right? But then we also try not to. Sometimes it's a bit difficult when you have animals who have similar behaviors to us. You feel like, oh, maybe they feel the same. Maybe we don't really know. We don't know how they communicate, but we know that they have a lot of complex behaviors. So that's what we try to see with our drones as well. So to get the interaction, we have, for examples, we can see that they live in groups of females live in groups with their babies. So a lot of different females together with the different babies in summer. And they help each other out. So this is also quite similar to our behavior, right? If you give the kid to someone and then he looks like your aunt or your grandmother looks after your child.
That's so humane.
So belugas
But
belugas could have menopause too.
So they stop reproducing at around 40 years old.
Oh.
So we know that they have a very important role other than just giving birth. Because they live longer than that. So if their only role would to be to give birth, they would die around 40, right?
Really? Wow.
So then what's their purpose after that?
We think it can be different things. So their theories about maybe.
I think they're there to be their elders. So I feel that they're more like grandparents or they're elders. They know stuff, so they got to teach the other ones what to do.
Probably they have a teaching role. They have a protection role as well. So we think they help protect their families. And they live a long time in family structures. So probably they give knowledge to the other ones.
So they also live as a family. They together.
Yes, so not all. They don't have to be their whole life with the same families. It really depends. The whales, belugas, the females, so the babies, they are with their mother for at least 2 to 3 years because that's the time where they get nursed. And afterwards, sometimes they really stay in the same community for few years for their whole life. It really depends. Sometimes we're not able to tell because they change colors. So we don't really know which baby is the adult one. We have one that we know from when she was a little baby because she had a scar. So we can always recognize her. And and she left, I think, when she was 7. She went to another female community in which she stays. But some females, they stay with their mothers. Some males as well. It depends a little bit.
That's interesting.
So she had a scar on her back. And then now she's an adult, but she still has the same scar.
Okay, so how long do they live?
They could live up to 80 years.
8 years. 80 years.
But most of them they don't because they don't have the perfect surroundings. The population here in the St. Lawrence is endangered. So it's really rare that they will get to 80, but they could, right?
They spend up to 40 years as grandmothers, teaching and protecting the younger generation. After an hour with Christine, I didn't just see whales as animals anymore. I saw them as a society. But now it was time to leave the museum and get out on the water.
If you want to dive deeper into this story, visit us over at rudderlesstravel.com/podcasts.
After learning about the science of whales at the CIMM, it was time to actually go out and find them. We jumped in the car and drove from Tadoussac to Lavoie, following the scenic Route 138. It's known as the whale route for a reason. We were heading out with Croisières Essipit, who's actually been doing this longer than anyone else in the region, starting back in 1998. The company is owned and operated by the Innu community of Essipit. They were one of the first Innu communities to develop sustainable tourism as a way to share their culture and protect their ancestral territory, which they call Nitassinan. In their language, Essipit means stony river. You have to get to the marina at Le Bergeron at least 45 minutes before your departure to get suited up. Even if it's a heat wave on land, it's often freezing once you get out on the water. They give you these bright red coats made by Mustang Survival, which actually act like a life jacket, and bright yellow water pants. Once our group of 12 was ready, we headed down the wharf to board the boat. Our captain, Antoine, was a crazy, hilarious guy, but super fun. The second you leave the marina, the adrenaline hits, and Antoine doesn't baby the boat either. You're skimming across the waves with the salt spray hitting your face and that sharp, cold air in your nostrils. It's high-speed craziness on this Zodiac, I'm telling you. Almost as soon as we set out, we saw some seals just chilling out on some rocks, others bobbing in the water. Antoine told us these seals can eat half their weight in food. And here's a fun fact. They'll purposely poo to attract fish. Sorry if you're eating your lunch while listening to this, but it's going to make you amazing at those trivia nights. We spent the next 2 hours scanning the horizon. It's a lot of waiting and then zipping around to the last known sighting, hoping they come back. Waiting, the walkie-talkies crackle with another sighting, and then off we go. My pro tech tip, having a good camera with a good zoom is super helpful because these whales move fast. Now, while we didn't see any belugas this time, it finally happened. A minke whale broke the surface. We actually saw them 3 different times, and one of them even did a full roll. It is pure excitement and joy when you see that dark back arch out of the water. It's the total opposite of the zombie vibe we're going to check out a little later on the shore. Standing on those rocks is about patience, but this is an absolute rush. So much fun. After the high-speed salt spray of the Zodiac, we headed about 20 minutes north of Tadoussac to a place called Cap-de-Bon-Désir. As soon as you pull into the gravel lot, the first thing you see standing tall against the blue sky is a classic stout lighthouse painted bright white with bright red on top. This station has been a beacon for sailors entering the Saguenay for over 60 years. Before this tower was built in 1958, there was an even older station here. Back then, life was isolated and rugged. The keepers lived in those charming white houses with red roofs you see nearby, keeping the lights spinning and the foghorn screaming through the thickest Atlantic fog to guide ships away from the treacherous rocks. From the lighthouse buildings, there's a short, easy trail that winds through the trees, maybe a 5-minute walk. And as the trees open up, the ground turns into these massive, ancient plates of pinkish-grey granite that slope directly into the sea. This is the Interpretation and Observation Centre. When you step out onto these rocks, you see people just standing perfectly still. It's that zombie vibe I mentioned earlier. To understand why everyone is so hypnotized by the horizon, I sat down with Eloïse Lavoie from Parks Canada. She's an expert on this stretch of the coast, and she explains why these rocks are basically a front row seat to an underwater highway. So when we were before we came to you, we were on the Zodiac riding around, and it was like craziness. Like the Zodiac is going fast and there's all this excitement. And then if we see, people gathering around somewhere, then that usually means that there's a whale there or something. So you see like a bunch of kayaks and a bunch of other Zodiacs parked up to kind of see if they get anything. But it was all exciting and craziness. But then when we came to where you were, at Cap-de-Bon-Désir, it was more calm and everyone was just kind of like chilling. It's almost like I mean, I want to say it's almost like a zombie kind of feel. Like we're just standing around, like mulling about and just all quiet, just waiting for something to happen. So just wanted to start with that. Like, how would you describe the vibe of watching whales from the shore compared to being out on a boat?
Well, I'd say it's like two different activities, but these two activities are complementary. Like like you just said, when you're out on the boat, you're in the middle of the water, so you're surrounded by water. You're in the art of the habitat, and then when you're on the shore and looking at the whales, well, you're more in a contemplation place. Like you stand on the rocks and you just wait for the whales to come at you in a certain way. So it's more like but there you can still feel the excitement because everyone is like silent and you're looking on like the direction you can look at and like a clock. So
Right.
and I think in the boats they do the same thing. So around you is like a clock and the interpretive guide will show where the whales are with the clock
Hmm.
system. So people are like looking around at the landscape and they are silent because they want to hear if you can hear below of the well. So it will indicate where in which direction look to see the whales go out. Yeah,
Ah, I see. So when you say clock system, you mean like 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock, right? And then
yeah,
people will look in
like
that direction.
exactly. Like in front of you, it's 12 o'clock, and then if the interpretive guide say, "Oh, I saw a whale," it was like 10 o'clock. So you just look at your left, and you know, for example, where to look at your left. So it's not just like, "Oh, there was a whale on your left." It's more specific.
Mhm. This is all assuming that people know how to tell time
Yeah, it is.
using the old way and not like just looking at your watch, but I
Yeah.
digress.
But we usually explain it also. So when you arrive to say it, the people know where to look.
Of course, I'm just playing. I when I saw people standing there, I thought, I could be that one person that's just, like, mean and just start running towards one direction, be like, "Oh my gosh, something's there," and then I'm pretty sure everyone would just come and follow me, but they wouldn't. I probably wouldn't like that if I did something like that.
Yeah,
Even if
no,
there's nothing
no,
there.
well, yeah.
Because everyone's just there waiting, so if someone says something, I notice, like, everyone's like, "What?"
Mhm. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of a very large place also. So
That's true.
there's place for everyone to be.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. So, can you explain the concept? Like, why, like, what, why does that bring the whales so close? Like, okay, if I remember correctly, um, which tends to lead to me being, correcting me because I'm usually wrong. But one thing you explained to me when we arrived was the underwater geography. We are standing on a dry land, but you mentioned that the water right in front of where we were standing drops off into a massive underwater canyon kind of thing, like it just goes down. So can you explain that concept and why does that bring the whales so close to the rocks?
The reason why the whale comes to the Saguenay-St. Lawrence Marine Park is to feed. So why we can see them from the shore and very close is because the food will come close to the shore. Right in front of the Cap-de-Bon-Désir is the Laurentian Channel. So it's a very deep part of the St. Lawrence estuary. And the food will go up to the surface with the movement underneath the water. Uh, so it will create some places where there is more food for whales. And in front of Cap de Bon Désir is one of these places. With so that's why we can see whales from the shore. And also it's very deep, close to the rocks. So that's why the whale would come like closer to the rocks, so closer from where people stand on the rocks.
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah, because the whales are obviously big, so so they need the space.
Yeah.
So that completely makes sense. Wow, okay. So that's the reason why everyone's gathering there. And then they're gathering there at that particular time because that's when the food is most likely going to be there. And just like, what are they eating? Like, what is the food? I know this is a side question. Just curious.
Yeah, well, they usually eat like krill. But it depends on which whales. So the whales with the like the blue whale, the minke whale, um, the fin whale, and the humpback whale will usually eat food like krill. But the beluga whale, for example, is a whale with um, teeth, so they will eat more like smaller fish. So it depends on the whale.
Okay, interesting. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay. So when we were looking out at the water, we were actually seeing the Saguenay St. Lawrence Marine Park. So it's interesting because, and I said this to you, when I think of park, I think of a place with trees, a sandbox, some swings, maybe a killer jungle gym or something like that. But this is a park right in the water. So what exactly does the park protect? Is it just the whales or the whole ecosystem?
Well, the Saguenay St. Lawrence Marine Park is a marine protected area. So it protects all of the ecosystem. So from what it's above the surface and what's underneath the water also. And I would say that it protects all the ecosystems because within the Saguenay St. Lawrence Marine Park, there are different ecosystems. It protects a part of the Saguenay Fjord, but also a part of the St. Lawrence estuary. So these are different, but they are connected. So it's a very rich environment where more than 2,200 species were seen since the creation of the marine park, which was in 1998.
Wow. Okay. And what was it? Oh, I remember you said that you were also planning on expanding it further, actually. Is that still something that's in the works, right?
Yeah, there are plans to expand the marine park. The marine park is co-managed by government of Quebec and Canada, and the Minister of Environment of both government, they announced in last March that they wanted to expand the marine park. So now it protects 1,245 kilometers square of water, but it could expand up to close to 4,500 kilometers square, which would reach the side of the Bas-Saint-Laurent region, so the other side of the St. Lawrence estuary.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. So a short walk from the whale watching spot are these beautiful white and red buildings and the pretty lighthouse. Which, by the way, if you're going there, you need to walk past the lighthouse. You could actually see the windows. I remember that. You told me that.
Yeah.
So for those going to visit, in our YouTube video, we actually show both sides. So just so you can see. But that was because of Eloïse. She told us that. So I'm giving props. Um, so what was it like for the keepers who lived there? I imagine it was pretty rugged life keeping the light on during the winter storms.
Yeah, I'd say that it was kind of a rough job every day because they had to work 24 hours a day. So there was a lighthouse keeper and a keeper's assistant also, and they had to work like I said all day long to make sure that the to maintain the lighthouse in like it was working so the light was working correctly, and also the foghorn when it was needed could work too. uh, so that was the job, but the like if you imagine a lighthouse that is located in the middle of the St. Lawrence, because it's on an island, this is very isolated. The
Mm.
One of the advantage I'd say to work at Cap-de-Bon-Désir is because you were on the land. So you were kind of close to other villages to have access to services easier than when you were working at a lighthouse station located in the middle of the water.
Mm. Yeah, and for perspective, I mean, it sort of blows me away because when you look at the St. Lawrence River, it quite literally looks like a lake or a sea. So it's hard to imagine it's actually just a river.
Mhm.
But so I could imagine like if you're on some island somewhere in the middle, like, and it does take like because we took a ferry across it, and it does take like 90 minutes to cross that.
Yeah.
So I imagine like you work at the park, so you get to spend lunch staring at the horizon, which is completely stunning. At least during the summer. So is there one specific memory, maybe a sunrise, a storm, or specific whale encounter that stands out as your favorite moment here at the Cap?
well, I don't have the opportunity to work there every day. So I go there when there are visits like we did together. So with travel media, with tour operators also. And one time last summer, um, I arrived with somebody and there was a big blow. Like it was far away from the shore, but it was certainly a blue whale. I double checked with my colleague there and she said like, yeah, it was a blue whale. So we were able to see a blow of a blue whale from the shore without binoculars. This was very stunning and impressive. I think it was my prime memory of last summer.
That was last summer too.
Yeah, it was like,
Wow.
well, this summer, a few months ago.
Like this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah, the summer that just passed.
So I pretty much just came at the wrong time.
Yeah, it could have been together that we saw that, but
Oh
it
my
wasn't,
gosh.
unfortunately.
Oh wow, that's so
I think it
cool.
was in September, if I remember correctly. So,
Yeah, I was there.
and we
So
were together in September. Yeah, that wasn't help.
oh man, wow, we just missed that. So that is cool because the blue whale obviously is the largest mammal.
Yeah,
And the fact that you can see it sort of without binoculars is quite cool.
it's
So that means
very
it was
cool.
close enough and it's big. So that would have been
Mhm.
awesome. Did you get any pictures or did you just see it
No, you can't take a picture. Like it wouldn't.
too
It wouldn't.
fast?
Yeah, it was too fast, and with a camera, it wouldn't be like as impressive as it is to see it from your own eyes
Right, right. Okay,
because it
that's
was
fair.
kind of far.
Yeah, yeah. So you need the binoculars so you could really zoom in
Yeah,
and see it
to
properly.
see
Yeah,
the
okay,
whale
fair.
properly, I would have need binoculars, but without binoculars, I was able to like see the below, and because it was so big and far, it was like possible to identify it as a blue whale.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
amazing. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that I should add? Like,
I'd say that one last thing is that there's different ways to discover the Saguenay St. Lawrence Marine Park. So you can do it on the boat like you did. So you can do it on the water. You go for a kayak excursion or your boat excursion, but you can also discover it from the shore. And we were together at Cap-de-Bon-Désir Interpretation and Observation Center, but there are more than 20 places of discovery to discover the Saguenay St. Lawrence Marine Park within the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean region, Charlevoix, Côte-Nord, but also Bas-Saint-Laurent. So it's possible to discover it from different places and to immerse yourself with the marine life and surprising marine mammals also. And yeah,
oh, that's beautiful. That's so good to know. So it's not just where you're at. I mean, that's a perfect spot. Don't
Mm.
get me wrong.
Yeah, no, it is.
But there's other spots.
Yeah, well, the Discovery Network of the Saguenay St. Lawrence Marine Park was created by Parks Canada, CIPAC, so both co-managers of the marine park, but also with uh, several partners all around the marine park. So, yeah.
Standing there on the rocks with Eloïse, you really start to respect the silence. In the Zodiac, you're chasing the encounter. But here at the Cap, you let the encounter come to you. It's a lesson in patience. I want to give a massive thank you to our guests who made this episode possible. So thank you, Christine and the team at CIMM. A huge thank you to Croisières Essipit and our captain, Antoine. And finally, thank you, Eloïse and Parks Canada. From the massive bleached skeletons hanging in the dark at the CIMM, to the high-speed salt spray of the Zodiac, and finally, that quiet, hypnotic wait on the rocks at Cap-de-Bon-Désir. The Côte Nord has been a trip I'll never forget. It's a place that forces you to realize how small we really are compared to the giants of the water. In the next episode, we're crossing the St. Lawrence River to the south shore, to the Bas-Saint-Laurent region, to a town called Rimouski, and a place called Pointe-au-Père to share the tragic story of the Empress of Ireland. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'll look for you in the next episode. Stay rudderless.